Hey everyone, welcome back. So, in an effort to continue dismantling systemic racism, our next guest took part in producing To Be Us to Work, a documentary discussing the treatment of Black employees in the workplace while also highlighting the psychological and chronic health consequences of racism. The film has won Best of Festival Award at the International Black Film Festival and also happens to be the first of many to come by the production company To Be Us Productions. And joining us to tell us more, we welcome the filmmaker of To Be Us and CEO, Cedrick Smith. Hello, Cedrick. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me on this platform. I really appreciate it. So glad to be here. And so happy about being able to talk about the film.
Yeah, well, congratulations, first and foremost.
Thank you.
I would imagine the timing is impeccable. Let's just start with when you shot this film and how you were able to mobilize it, and then how relevant it is still today in 2021.
We started. Let me give you a little background. I was an activist. Did a lot of activist work over the last 6 years, and from those activist activities, I would often find myself and Tosca, who's a co-producer and co-director on the film, going to some of these, town hall meetings, going to some of these meetings that were around, Black issues, police brutality, systemic oppression, everything you could think of. And so what we found was that we would come away from some of the meetings a little bit feeling empty, not feeling as if we didn't go all the way in on the topic. And that culprit or that topic that we felt wasn't being talked about was white supremacy, systemic racism. And so there was always, not always, because there were some that were very good meetings, but in large part, there were a lot of instances where, we didn't name it, or we were trying to couch or trying to make people feel comfortable who weren't Black and brown. And so what led to making the film was that we were so tired of that we said, let's start telling our own stories. Let's start telling what it's like to be us. And literally the name of the production company came from that. And then we made this film, To Be Us to Work, which highlights systemic racism that Black folks face in the work environment. And the reason why we chose that topic was because we felt it was universal. I mean, you've been working since you were 16 years old, and we felt like everybody had a story that they could tell. I mean, I have my own, Tosca had hers that was very fresh at the time. And we felt as though we could get a lot of material when you're trying to do your first film. The fear we had, however, was, were we going to be able to get people to tell it on film, which is a whole nother issue. The unique thing about this film is that it was shot in 2019, prior to the quote awakening that we've had since the murder of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and so forth. And so it has that kind of caveat to it that these people were really very scared of reprisals, retaliation, losing their job. Do I really have to tell this on film? Can you block out my face? Whatever the case may be. But to the storytellers, to a person, they really exhibited a lot of courage, a lot of vulnerability to tell their stories on film.
Right, in an authentic manner too, right? Really truthful. I was able to see a little bit of the trailer, and hopefully we'll be able to share some B-roll just so that people can get the sense of the difference in occupations, different levels, different roles. I mean, yourself, for example, I know you didn't really want us to identify you as your day occupation, but I think it's important that we share with everyone that you're a doctor. By trade.
I am a physician. Yeah, I am a physician. That's kind of how I pay my bills, and that's actually how we pay the bills of To Be Us. To be honest, you start the side hustle, if you will.
Well, that's a pretty important side hustle, doctor. I mean, right now, I have to say thank you for your service because you're in the forefront of all of this.
Tough. I do urgent care, which is in the forefront of the pandemic. It's been tough. We haven't taken a day off since pandemic. It's been tough on my staff. It's been tough on all of us. It's been tough on everybody. And I have my own working wild Black stories in regard to being a physician or being a medical student.
the only reason I brought it up really is because you've lived it, right? Because you're in this high level position, but yet there's still that similarity in feeling, in being in certain environments, which is what the film captures. Based on what I heard, is kind of like, you know, you're the token person, or you're like the person that's at the table that has different hair, or wears you know, vibrant colors, or whatever it is, whatever that is that identifies the culture as standing out in certain environments based on being the minority.
And the one thing about that, you bring up a very valid point, is that in the film, you know, I'm highly degreed, so I have a medical degree, so that puts me in the quote professional category, if you will. But what this film is about a plethora of people who range in all types of fields, who are general laborers, who are medical assistants, who are doctors. We have the person in the film who is a doctor, or academicians, or teachers. A lot of the people that had experiences with systemic racism in the workplace, or anti-Blackness in the workplace as well, to be more specific, were teachers as well. So we oftentimes, when you see a lot of working while Black stories, if you will, we tend to go to the corporate, you know, C-suite type stories, or they're even in the articles that you're seeing nowadays, you kind of see where it's a celebrity, or, you know, as an actress or an actor,
or an athlete, too.
Or an athlete. I couldn't get, you know, and so they're very popular, but that person's uncle, aunt, sister, cousin that's not a celebrity, they feel in the heat too in the workplace, and deal with the systemic racism that has, you know, outcomes, you know, both psychologically and physically, that manifest in ways like high blood pressure and diabetes. I mean, the stress of working in an environment that is somewhat, you know, I hate to use this word, but it is what it is. It's terroristic at times for people, because they are fearful. They are literally that scared. And you see that in the film.
That's true, though. That's truth you're speaking right there, because, you know, I mean, you're a doctor. You're walking around carrying all this tension all the time. Eventually, your body adopts it, right?
Correct. I mean, cortisol levels are up. I mean, imagine, I don't want to say that it's like being in a war, because I can't even imagine what being in war is like. However, what we call the fight and flight response of individuals, when I'm pretty sure everybody, even in your audience, has been in some way, shape, or form involved in an altercation or an argument where they felt this kind of surge and urge of energy, which is the adrenaline that's being produced. Well, imagine that type of high intensity output occurring on a chronic basis daily, because you are so fearful in your work environment, or so invalidated, or so overlooked, or so microaggressed. And a lot of times, even in the film, we like to name things. We feel that naming things are what help people heal. To get down to the scab, to get down to the wound, in order for us to make a change. So when we have words like microaggression, I didn't know what that word meant, you know, 15 years ago. I knew that I had a funny feeling when somebody said something like, so you're in real medical school, or you're a real doctor, or, you know, these types of slights that you know, it is somewhat racist what they say, but the volume is turned down. You know, and so we say, oh,
but you could feel it. You could feel it. You could feel what the intentions are.
You can feel it. You can feel it. You know,
I'm a person of color, and I identify as an Afro-Latina, so I understand. I completely understand, and I think what you've produced is so valuable, and I think the fact that you are a doctor also loans itself to the quality of the story that's being told, and how it's going to really be grasped, because it isn't just this aspect of like documenting people's stories. It's also like the components of your physicality and how it affects you mentally, and all of that is very, very, very important to bring it to the forefront right now amid this pandemic. And mind you, you shot this in 2019, right?
Yeah, exactly. Can I give you just an example of one of the stories?
I don't know if we have time, because
I
know, you know what, we just left them with the teaser that they're going to have to go watch it, because I think you shared a lot for people to understand that just even watching it, you're going to feel a sense of relation in which you can now start possibly just exercising it yourself, because the idea is that you release it from your body. In the communication.
And that's what we want to do. We want to. Exactly, and that's what we want to do.
To be us to work, right? That's the title.
Correct.
Right. And
Correct.
so before
Correct.
we go, just tell everybody where they could see it, because we're talking about it and we're like, oh, great. That's why I had to mention the title again. To Be Us, to
Right.
Work is the film.
To work. Yeah, we want everyone to see it. We want to put it out there in distribution. Unfortunately, right now, we're not in distribution. We're currently in the film festival season. And so with that, it can only be screened in the specific film festival. And those film festivals have very strict rules that you have to follow, that you can't be seen on, TV or in the theaters yet until you have completed the film festival cycle. So that being the case, we want everybody to see it. We're looking for a distribution deal. That's what every filmmaker wants to do. We want to make other films, which we have a lineup of films that we want to make. But right now, currently, just follow us at our website at tobeusproductions.com, tobeusproductions.com. And you can see all of our handles and social media, pages and everything that can tell you, when our next festival is coming up. So you will be able to see it pending a distribution deal.
Love it. Love it. And thank you for bringing it here with us to our viewers. That's Dr. Cedrick Smith. He is the CEO. I know you said not to say, but you are, and you earned it. So we acknowledge you and thank you. But however, today he's wearing the filmmaker's hat as the CEO of To Be Us Productions. And once again, To Be Us, the film is To Be Us to Work. That's the film name. That's the documentary we're talking about. But it's also been produced by To Be Us Productions, which can be found at tobeusproductions.com. Got that? All right, you guys. And once again, or you can even watch it too there, right? I believe.
Well, you can see the trailer. You can definitely see the trailer there. But again, we don't have a paywall set up where people can see it. And again, we're in film festivals that have these types of rules. So probably the next 6 months or so, or maybe even sooner, if somebody comes along and says, hey, we'll give you a deal, we'll take it out of the film festival season and make a deal with them. So we're hopeful that happens.
Well, in the meantime, go check out To Be Us at tobeusproductions.com. All right, you guys don't go anywhere, because Bobby C's Weekly Sports Roundup is coming up next.